A young teen under 18 is denied their sexuality by their mother, told to focus on school and be patient until she understands. I told her I liked girls, and she said, "You just haven't met the right boy yet." So I asked her what the right boy had to do with who I am. She said I was being dramatic. That was the first time I realized love could look you in the eye and still not see you. My name is Avery.
I'm 17.
I live in Jackson, Mississippi, and I came out to my mom on a Sunday night, right after we'd finished folding laundry and before she went to the kitchen to reheat leftovers. I didn't plan it. It just sort of burst out of me. "I like girls," I said. She paused, towel in hand, staring at the dryer like it had betrayed her. "Okay," she said. And then, after a long beat, "Well, that's not really something we need to be worrying about right now, is it? You've got college applications to think about." I stood there waiting for more. A hug, a smile, maybe even confusion I could help untangle. But instead, she tossed the towel in the basket and added, "These kinds of things, they come and go, Avery. You're young. Just focus on school. We'll talk about it when you're older." That was her way of saying I don't believe you. And I didn't know how to fight that knot without losing her completely. I've always been her golden child. The one who color codes their notebooks and never misses a deadline. I get A's, I help with dinner, I walk the dog, I do everything I'm supposed to do, and yet, the one thing I am gets treated like a distraction. Like a rebellious phase. Like a stain on my report card. It hurts in places I can't name. Not the sharp kind of hurt, but the slow, eroding kind. Like water dripping steadily against stone. I started keeping more to myself after that. In class, I stopped raising my hand so much. At lunch, I sat further down the table. My friends noticed, of course. My best friend Harper asked me if I was okay. I wanted to say no, I'm not. My mom thinks my identity is homework I'll grow out of. But I just shrugged and said I was tired. What I didn't tell her was that I cried in the shower every night that week. Because the only place no one can hear you sob is where the water's running. Then, one day, something shifted. It was during English class. We were reading The Color Purple, and I raised my hand the first time in days to talk about Celie and Shug's relationship. About how Shug saw Celie before Celie saw herself. My voice trembled. My heart thundered in my chest like I was confessing a crime. After class, Ms. Darden pulled me aside. "You said something brave today," she told me. I stared at the floor. "I just like the book." "No," she said. "You saw something in it most students don't. And you said it out loud. That takes courage." I don't know why, but I started crying. She didn't press. She just handed me a tissue and said, "Whatever you're going through, know this: there's nothing wrong with who you are. Sometimes the world just takes a while to catch up." Her words hit me like a lifeline in a storm. She didn't ask for details. She didn't need to. She just made space, and in that space, I finally felt like I could breathe. That was the day I started writing again. I pulled out my old journal from under my bed and filled it with letters I never planned to send. To my mom. To myself. To the girl in my math class who wore oversized hoodies and chipped black nail polish and smiled at me once like she saw something in me worth knowing. And I kept writing. I wrote until the fear got softer. Until my voice got louder. And then, one night, I left a letter for my mom. I didn't say everything. Just enough. "I'm still your daughter. I still want to go to college. I still want to be good. But I also want to be real. And this part of me is not going away. Please try to understand. I'm not asking for approval. Just for patience." I left it on her pillow and went to bed with my heart in my throat. The next morning, it was gone. She didn't mention it. But that night, there was a post-it on my bedroom door. "I don't know how to do this, but I'm trying. Love you." I sat on my bed for a long time, clutching that tiny square of yellow paper like it was gold. It wasn't everything I wanted, but it was something. A crack in the wall. And sometimes that's where the light gets in. After the post-it note, something subtle shifted between us. My mom didn't start waving pride flags or binge-watching queer documentaries. But she didn't flinch when I talked about girls, either. She didn't pretend not to hear me anymore. She just listened. Quietly. Uncomfortably. But she listened. And when someone's been shutting you out for months, listening starts to feel like love. Winter rolled into spring, and life kept happening. Tests, SAT prep, late-night texting with Harper, who eventually pieced together what I hadn't had the courage to say out loud. I liked someone. Specifically, Riley, the hoodie-wearing girl from math class who smiled like the world was a secret only she knew. "You've got it bad," Harper said, grinning over a cup of gas station hot chocolate. "Shut up. Seriously. It's cute. Terrifying. But cute." I laughed, and something about that moment sitting in her old car, windows fogged up, music low, made me believe, for the first time in months, that things could be okay. That maybe there was a version of the future that didn't require me to trade my truth for safety. I started tutoring Riley in algebra. She didn't really need help. She was smarter than she let on, but we both pretended she did. And slowly, between solving for X and laughing at how often I dropped my pencil, we got closer. One day, she asked, "So is Harper your girlfriend?" I choked on my water. "No. Just best friends." Her face relaxed. She bit her lip, looked away, then whispered, "Cool." That night, I wrote in my journal, "This is the first time I've liked someone who might actually like me back." I drew little stars around the page like I was 10 again. Hope makes you foolish in the best ways. But not everything was a dream. One evening, my mom found one of my journals. I'd left it under a pile of clean laundry on the bed. She didn't mean to snoop, I truly believe that, but she picked it up while folding towels and it slipped open to a page about Riley. About kissing her. About wanting to. I found her sitting on the edge of the bed when I came out of the shower, journal in hand. Her face was unreadable. Her silence was louder than any scream. "Mom!" She looked up. "Is this real?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah, it is." Another long pause. Then, "You're only 17. I know. I don't want you making decisions you can't undo." High school relationships. "Mom, I'm not asking for a wedding," I interrupted, trying not to cry. "I just want you to accept that this is part of me. That I'm not broken. That I'm not confused." Her eyes shimmered with something complicated. Sadness, maybe, or fear. "I just don't want life to be harder for you than it already is." "It already is hard," I said. "Not because I'm gay, but because I have to keep hiding it from the person I love most." That broke something. She reached for my hand, tentative, unsure, and said, "I don't know how to do this. I don't know what's right or wrong. But I don't want to lose you." "You won't," I whispered. "You never had to." We cried together that night. For different reasons. But together. After that, things didn't magically become perfect. But there was effort. She asked questions, clumsy, awkward ones like, "Is Riley your girlfriend now?" Or, "Do people use the word queer in a good way again?" And I answered, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying. But I answered. She bought a book called "This Is a Book for Parents of Gay Kids" and read it with a highlighter. She even emailed Ms. Darden to thank her for being supportive. I'll never forget the first time she said the words, "I'm proud of you." After I gave a presentation at the school's Diversity Week event, I'd stood in front of half the student body and shared a piece I'd written called "Unfolding." I am not a phase. I am not a test. I am not something to grow out of. I am unfolding. And I hope you'll still love me when I'm finally all the way open. When I came down from the stage, shaking, heart in pieces, she was there standing near the exit, eyes full of tears, hands clapping like it was the best thing she'd ever seen. She hugged me tight. "You were brave," she whispered. "I was scared. You still showed up." That became our thing, those 3 words. You still showed up. We said it to each other after hard days, after tense dinners, after little stumbles and awkward conversations. It became the thread we clung to when nothing else made sense. And then one afternoon, in late May, she surprised me with something that would have seemed impossible just months earlier. We were in the kitchen, cutting strawberries for a summer pie, when she said, "I heard about the Youth Pride event in Memphis. I was thinking maybe we could go together, just to check it out." I dropped the knife. "Are you serious?" She smiled, sheepish. "You've shown me a lot. I figured I could show up for you, too. We went. It was hot and loud and full of color. I wore a t-shirt that said Protect Queer Kids, and she wore a button that read Learning Mom. People complimented her all day. She blushed like a teenager. That night, we sat in the car watching the sun dip below the city skyline. "I'm sorry it took me so long," she said. "I'm just glad you're here now." She turned to me and said, "You were never wrong, Avery. I was just scared. And you taught me how to be less scared." I didn't know what to say, so I said what I felt. "I love you." She squeezed my hand. "I love you more than I was ever afraid." Now I'm a senior, getting ready for college. Riley and I are still figuring things out. We're not rushing anything. But she's someone I trust, someone who makes me feel like I don't have to explain myself every second of the day. Harper's still my ride or die. Ms. Darden still slides me poetry books, just because. And my mom? She's the loudest one cheering when I speak at assemblies. She still messes up pronouns sometimes, still stumbles over language. But every time she corrects herself, every time she shows up. And that's what I've learned, that showing up isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing. Willing to listen. Willing to learn. Willing to grow. You are not too young to know your truth. You are just early to your own revolution. Patience doesn't mean silence. It means trusting that your voice will echo even if the world takes time to answer. You are worthy of love that does not ask you to wait to be seen. If you find it interesting, please subscribe to follow the next stories.